Flom here. Welcome to my studio desk. I've got a tag here, and as you can see, I've stamped a few little things here. This a big bumblebee, and this is a postcard tag, but it's just manila cardstock. And what I've done, I took some matte finish gel medium and just put a very thin layer over it, and I can kind of see a shine to it. You don't have to do that, but I do find that I like this Scribble sticks, which is the medium I want to show you here in this video. I do find that I like how they work a little better on a surface that's treated either with gesso or a little tiny bit of matte finish gel medium works in a pinch. I just can't find my gesso in here, so that'll work. Anyhow, the Dina Wakley Scribble sticks. I picked these up at my local scrapbook store, and what I have noticed with them is they don't do well on heavy texture. And by heavy texture, I mean, let's see if I have a good example here. If I were to try, let's say that this was all coated in gesso and white so that I could go and paint on it. If I were to try to use these over these various surfaces, it would not work very well. I would have to really scrub, and even then it would be difficult. Now, these Scribble sticks are interesting to me because they are incredibly hard and dry. And I just find that really interesting as far as compared to, say, a distress crayon, which is more, or a gelato or an oil pastel, is a lot more squishy. There's a lot more moisture in those. So see how that comes right off on my finger? If I do the same thing with the Scribble stick on the next finger, I'm going to get a little bit, but can you see the pressure I'm putting on my finger? I really have to put a lot of pressure to get it to just simply come off onto my finger. So it's not good, it's not bad, it's just different. So what I am finding though is I do like them, and you might notice I really do have to put a little more pressure on these. So for example, if I'm having a bad wrist day, if I'm having a lot of pain in my wrist, these aren't always the best dry, especially because I do need to put down some pressure to really get a good effect. What I'm loving about them, though, I'm absolutely loving how beautiful they blend. I'm really a fan of blendable mediums, so let me show you. So you can dry apply them. Another option that I will show you is take some water, get the Scribble stick wet, or get the paper wet. And if you do that, look how pretty. So pretty. It goes right on. They do dry, it does dry pretty quickly, but you can get some really lovely smearable watercolor style, I guess I should say, going with the Scribble sticks. And I really like that about them, that they work so interestingly wet and dry. I really like, though, applying it. I'm finding that applying it dry and then adding color, though, I'm just really liking. So what I'm liking to do here, as you can see, add a few colors, add a bit of color, and then go in with water, and maybe a water brush is probably the best, especially for this. Now, let's see, this is an umber, kind of a dark brown. I'm going to give just a little bit of that here and there. I like to do, especially for a bird or a bee or something, I like to kind of get the colors in the areas I think I kind of want them, then we blend. So now I've got a water brush here, and I like to, on a paper towel, get it rolling here. And I'm just going to, just barely, okay? I don't need, but you're going to see how much great color you have. And these blend so nicely. Now, I mentioned I prefer them on a surface that's been treated. That's because I find for this kind of coloring, I really want the color to blend. I really want to get cool effects with color, and just every now and then I'll clean it off there. I want to get cool blended and effects, and the best way I know how to do that is if you've got a little bit of water like I do here, it really will blend and mix and become lovely. I'm liking that, I'll tell you that. I really like that. So I can still go with this brush. I can come in here, and I can also take wet surface, dry Scribble stick, and work color in. It's just it's a little different color medium because these are so hard. Notice how hard I'm whacking it. They're very dry and they're very hard. I do not mean this as a criticism or as a compliment. It's just a fact. I am finding a lot of really fun coloring to be done with them by themselves. I also find that they play well and they're nice with other color mediums too. So for example, with my gelatos, with my distress crayons, with my Prima oil pastels, with whatever else I'm playing around with, they do work nicely. They really do. And they dry quickly. You can layer them. And they're nice colors. Look at all these pretty blues and greens. They're really nice colors to work with. Now I do recommend, but this is just universal, guys. This is for any project you might be doing. I do recommend drying in between layers because you don't want to make a muddy mess. At least I don't want to make a muddy mess. So you do, just like any other water reactive medium, you're going to want to let layers dry. If you want to seal this with the matte gel medium, with clear gesso, you could seal this up if you wanted to make sure they did not continue to react. When they are totally dry, if I go in here and go, oh gee, I don't like this part, it remains reactive. Just because it's dry doesn't mean it's set. So it's not a one-time use, get it to react and it's set for life. That is important, obviously, to understand because that's going to change how you create. If it is not going to ever set, if you can always alter and change it, you're going to approach things a little bit differently than, say, if something once done. There are some mediums where, you know, you use them once. I have some markers like that where you blend them once and then try to blend again and it's going to be a totally different story. It's not going to really blend. It's not going to really, you know, work. Not to say that that's bad. It's simply different. I'm going to add some blues in here just for fun. I get a lot of questions about tags. Why do you work on tags? Why do a tag? What I'm going to tell you is, it's just paper, okay? Tags come in a conveniently pre-cut little size of paper that I happen to really like working with, okay? Tags are, and this is a little different size tag, but tags are a nice, convenient little piece of paper. I don't even have to cut it out. And for the most part, the tags that I purchase are manila cardstock, which is an extremely useful cardstock for mixed media because it tends to be, it's a little tougher. It's not quite as absorbent. It works really well with a lot of the mediums that I like to use. Can you smear these with your fingers? Yes, you can, but they're not, because they're so dry, I find it works better with a water brush. That really does work better. Okay, so add a few more colors here. I think I'm going to add a little more this in here. You can see, again, I really do have to press down, especially when I get color on top of color. And again, that's not a bad thing. It's just a fact. And you can use either end. I don't think I would have to worry about sharpening these because the way that these are, I don't see myself, and I will show you this up here. You see how there's a little bit of dry flakiness? That does happen from time to time. It's not a bad thing though, because add a little water to it and it just becomes fluid color, okay? Add a little water to it and it's no longer an issue. Takes care of itself, okay? So that's my first look at the Dina Wakley Scribble Sticks. Do I like them? Yes, I like them a lot. I like them a lot. I feel like they're a really nice color medium and they're a lot of fun. I think that they add a lot to my creative projects because they work so well on plain paper. Some products don't work so well on flat paper. Some products work better when you're working on a surface that's, you know, layered or textured or what have you. These I'm finding I like a lot better on flat paper. Okay, so that's just something to know. But in the context of working with my other products, with my distress crayons, with my watercolors, with all the other brands of products I use, I really am glad I got them. They are a really nice blendable color, and I really like the kind of artist crayon type effect I get when I'm creating with them. Now for this, I am going to have a damp paintbrush here, And I'm actually going to add even a little more water here. I'm going to put a little gel medium in matte finish here. And there's my water. Off to the side here, I'm going to squirt off to the side so I don't actually squirt the tag itself. Squirt some water on that because I want to, I want it to be thin. I don't want it to be really super thick. So as much water as that brush will hold, and then really quick, once over. If I have to go twice over, I will, but trying to go basically once over everything. Now everything is sealed. So when that's dry, those colors, that layer, that'll be all sealed up so that any further creating that I happen to do on this will not be affected. Okay, everything is locked in. I just love it. So much fun. If you have any questions, anything you'd like to see, you will see these pop up in future videos. That's why they're here getting a feature now. But if you have any questions, any comments, oh, that's right. I did say before I end this video, I will show you. So this is a tag untreated. Okay, there's nothing on it. And it will still work. They do still work on this. And manila in particular, they work really well. Okay, the only difference that I sometimes find, and it'll be interesting to see if I find it here, is when I go to add the water. Let's see. Oh, no. Yeah, okay, I can see it. So I'm going to move this water away so that you can see why I like treated surfaces for this kind of direct coloring. When you have a surface that's not treated, some of that color, a good amount of that color, is going to soak in the paper. So it's not, it isn't too bad, but no matter how much I blend, those colors in the middle there's always going to be those streaks of color in the middle where I scribbled hard. Whereas if you have a surface that is coated with something such as gesso or matte gel, what tends to happen is it kind of sits on top and will move all around. All right, so that's just something, it's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. For this bee, I could have been untreated just fine because I wouldn't have minded some streaks or some little bits of color like that. It's just one of those things. Know your mediums. Take a little time, play with your mediums, have fun with them. Why a tag besides it's convenient? Well, guess what? I can turn this into a card. I can lop the top off. I can stick this into my planner. I can make it an accent on my scrapbook page. I can put it atop a gift. A tag for me is something that can become anything else that I do. So for me, if I'm not sure what I want to do with something, making a tag just makes a lot of sense. For right now though, this guy is going to sit aside and dry. And like I said before, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'll see you next time.